So, how do we create environments where our project teams don't just deliver results, but genuinely thrive and want to contribute their best work? Stay tuned to find out. At Powering ProjeX, we champion the growth of project people, empowering every subscriber to lead with distinction, drive impactful outcomes, and turn vision into victory. Through sharp insights, inspiring stories, and energetic conversations, we will celebrate the exceptional people who transform industries and build a better world. Welcome to Powering ProjeX, where we explore the strategies, stories, and insights that make projects and project people thrive. I'm your host, DK. But first, if you're finding value in what we're building here, hit that subscribe button. It's the best way to stay connected with our community and help us continue delivering the insights and inspiration that fuel your project leadership journey. Today's episode tackles a critical challenge that every project leader faces. How do we create environments where our project teams don't just deliver results, but genuinely thrive and want to contribute their best work? Here's the problem. Most project leaders focus intensely on processes, methodologies, and deliverables, and rightly so. But we often underestimate the profound impact that intentional, science-backed appreciation has on team performance, retention, and overall project success. We default to generic good job feedback or assume that paychecks are a sufficient motivation, missing the powerful opportunities to unlock our team's potential. So why does this matter? Well, in order to understand that, we have to really step into the behavioural science behind team appreciation. So let me start with a story that illustrates the lasting power of thoughtful recognition. A few years ago, I wrapped up a particularly grueling project, you know the kind, impossible deadlines, stakeholder chaos, and enough curveballs to make me question my career choices. When it was all done, one of my colleagues handed me a handwritten card. Let me read it to you. Dear Daniela, I was fully prepared not to like you and to ungracefully exit from the project. But you would have none of that. With your constant messages of positivity and hope, you definitely delivered more than Obama ever could. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and experience, and for having high standards, and for shielding us from the slips and arrows hurled our way, and for doing all of that as a friend. I hope to work with you again soon. This card still sits on my desk today, very neatly placed beside a pine cone, which is a long story in itself, and I won't explain it on this episode. But suffice to say that 2 years later, I visited the Vatican and I spotted a giant marble pine cone statue. I snapped a photo and sent it to him with a short note. The point is, we're still connected. And we're still laughing about pine cones, and that's the enduring power of meaningful connections and recognition. This experience crystallised a fundamental truth for me, that intentional personal gestures that we make as project leaders don't just impact in the moment, they shape how people view their careers, their capability, and their place in the world. But here's what's fascinating. Behavioural science explains why this works. When we receive praise, the reward centre in our brain activates. And that is the same positive emotion we experience when we receive monetary awards. We literally get a rush of endorphins that promotes connection and loyalty. However, not all recognition is created equal. Research from self-determination theory reveals that humans have 3 fundamental psychological needs that drive motivation and performance, and that's autonomy, feeling in control of our behaviours, competence, mastering skills and building skills, and relatedness, which is experiencing the belonging and connection with others. Here's where it gets counterintuitive. Some types of praise can actually undermine our motivation if they focus on fixed traits rather than effort and process. So research constantly shows that process praise, which is recognizing someone's efforts, the strategies, and the specific behaviors that they employed to do their work, enhances their intrinsic motivation and persistence, while personal praise, which focuses on inherent qualities like my intelligence, can reduce motivation over time. So the question isn't whether to appreciate our teams, it's how to do it in ways that genuinely fuel their intrinsic motivation and long-term engagement. So in this episode, we're going to explore 3 science-backed strategies for meaningful team appreciation. Strategy 1, master process-focused recognition. Always be the first to acknowledge your team's professionalism and contribution in public and meaningful ways, but focus on their process, not just on their person. My favourite method is writing LinkedIn recommendations. I don't do this all the time, but I know that it works. And here's the key. When process praise slightly outweighs person praise, people exhibit the highest level of motivation and persistence. Instead of just saying, Sarah is brilliant, write, Sarah's systemic approach to stakeholder analysis and her persistence in refining our communication strategy helped us navigate our most complex negotiations. Examples like LinkedIn recommendations take 5 minutes to produce, but create lasting value because it supports a person's sense of competence by highlighting specific skills that they're developing. It also enhances their autonomy by showing that they have control over their success through effort, and it strengthens relatedness by demonstrating you genuinely see and value their contribution. Strategy 2. Organise meaningful celebrations of any kind, but particularly at the end of the project. Don't wait for someone else to send the well done email. Take the lead and make it systemic. I like to write my end of project message about a week in advance of the project end date for 2 reasons. I want to practice enough so that I don't get emotional if delivering it face to face, and I want to ensure that I don't forget anyone. In my message, I include specific sentences about each person's unique process, contributions, and how those strengths made the project successful. So that satisfies the feedback loop that people crave. They need to know what they do matters and that their contribution has meaningful impact. But I go beyond the internal recognition. I copy stakeholders, leadership teams, even the CEO if it's appropriate, because social recognition and the resulting acquisition of good reputation has a highly beneficial impact on an employee's experience. Strategy number 3, design positive and powerful connection experiences. As Elon Musk famously said, and he and I have rehashed several times, life cannot just be about solving one miserable problem after another. And projects can feel like that sometimes, can't they? One deadline leads to the next, one issue spirals into the next. But great project leaders find ways to inject fun and joy into the journey to make the grind feel a little less grinding. This isn't about random fun. It's about creating experiences that support all 3 of the psychological needs. So borrowing some inspiration from Colin D. Ellis, one of my favorites, consider themed problem-solving sessions where team members share creative approaches, supporting their need for displays of competence, rotating meeting leadership, supporting their need for autonomy, or creating shared playlists for focused work sessions that supports their need for relatedness. From a neurological standpoint, mirror neurons help explain why shared experiences are so powerful. When we witness another person's positive experience, we use the same parts of the brain as if the experience were our own. So here's some things that you can implement immediately. The 3-2-1 recognition framework. Before your next team meeting, prepare 3 specific process behaviours that you have observed that contributed to progress. Also prepare 2 individuals whose efforts or approach you can acknowledge specifically, and also 1 way that you can create a small moment of connection or shared experience. For example, I noticed how systemically Jake approached our risk analysis this week and how Maria kept asking the clarifying questions that helped us avoid scope creep. Tomorrow, let's start our stand up with everyone sharing one thing they learnt this week that they're excited to apply next week. This framework ensures that you are consistently supporting competence, autonomy, and relatedness while making recognition feel natural rather than forced. So, the 3 key takeaways from our session today. First, focus your recognition on process and effort rather than fixed traits. This builds intrinsic motivation and resilience. Second, structure your appreciation to support the 3 fundamental needs: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. And this creates sustainable motivation rather than temporary satisfaction. And third, make recognition systemic and public where appropriate. The social aspect amplifies the neurological benefits and creates lasting impact on reputation and career development. So as we wrap up, remember, our project people are the heart of everything we accomplish. These small, intentional actions grounded in behavioural science don't just make projects better, they make people better, stronger, more resilient, and genuinely connected to the work that they do. My challenge? Try the 3-2-1 recognition framework this week and let me know how it goes. Share your tips for supporting project teams. If you've got a story about recognition that created a lasting impact, I'd love to hear it. You can reach us on LinkedIn, X, YouTube, or email us at poweringprojects@gmail.com. In the next episode of Powering ProjeX, I'll be interviewing the legendary project sponsor John Simon, Head of Information Technology at Metro Trains, about what separates exceptional sponsors from the mediocre ones and why this role is fundamentally crucial to project success. And lastly, I want to hear from you. Drop me a comment or send a message with your own tips for supporting project teams. If you've got a story about a small gesture that made a big impact, I'd love to hear it, and I'll probably pilfer it too. Until next time, keep powering your projects and lifting the spirits of your people. This is DK, signing off. The content provided in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and does not constitute professional, legal, or financial advice. The opinions expressed by the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of any affiliated organisations or sponsors. While we strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information on project management methodologies and related topics, no guarantee is made regarding the completeness, accuracy, or applicability of the content to your specific circumstances. Listeners are encouraged to consult with qualified professionals before making decisions based on the information shared in this podcast. The hosts, guests, and producers are not liable for any losses, damages, or outcomes resulting from the use of this podcast's content. By listening to this podcast, you agree to assume all risks associated with the application of the information provided. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope you'll find value in our discussions.